it's passion, it's hunger, and it's want. That's what it is, and it is learn to listen to your teachers, take the criticism, even if you don't, you sort of think, well, I thought I was all right. You got to take it, you know. So this Lieutenant Colonel Kimberley telephoned me, very nice voice, her name Miss Carole Scanlon, yeah. I thought I was in trouble because he sounded so important. So he said, we'd like you to represent Ireland dancing for the Queen. I thought, oh my Lord. During the Labour government, that got us housed. It got me educated because I won a scholarship, which you wouldn't get these days. I won a scholarship to a really nice school and all that, and that came. But my dad worked really hard for the Labour Party. The committee rooms were there and everything. And he used to have me collecting money every month, whatever else. But, you know, I haven't got time for mollycoddling and all that sort of thing. You are what you are. This is what you've got to do. You haven't worked hard. If you haven't worked hard, don't come in front of me.
So, Carole, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
My first question is, how did Irish dancing become part of your life?
Well, Irish dancing became part of my life. Don't forget, I'm a real old bird. So I'm in my 70s, so I'm going back 65 years. So we were in part of St. Anne's. When people come over from Ireland then, the girls did the Legion of Mary and Irish dancing, and the lads went to Gaelic football and hurling, and that just kept the Irishness in us.
And how did that happen in terms of maybe you creating your school and Scanlon School? How did that emerge?
Well, that just came about. I was dancing, and then as I got older, I helped teach with my teachers in the dancing school, and then the parish priest, who you would definitely never argue with, said, get down in the hall and start a class at Our Lady of Lourdes. Yes, Father. So I thought I might get a few points with Big G on that one. And that's 53 years ago.
Yeah. Were you nervous during that process in terms of setting your own
No, I think I was too young to be nervous. I was 18. You're supposed to be 21. But I wouldn't argue with that priest. So I started at 18 and no kids came.
Yeah.
That was it.
What was the first session like then? Can you remember it?
Oh my God. It's so long ago. But I always remember, if I just get a few of the big Irish families in my class, I'll be fine. And I got plenty, and they came, and they never stopped coming. Yeah. It was really good.
So it just had a persistence,
and
that
it just kept
grew,
trickling on, and it grew, and it grew.
How was that in terms of maybe socially at the time? So like during the 60s, 70s, there's a lot of trouble in terms of maybe political points of view and migration. How was that for you to keep that ongoing process?
Of course we had a big hiccup with the Birmingham bombings and all that sort of thing, you know, but my dad being the man he is, I decided maybe we should just not teach for a while, you know. My father insisted that we did, so we carried on, and we just carried on as normal. Yeah.
Did you ever kind of contemplate quitting at all, or was there a pressure from your father?
I was young enough to think maybe I shouldn't do it just to keep the peace. No strong beliefs, no, nothing else, only maybe it would be safer if we didn't. Yeah. But of course I had good advice from the big fella and just kept going. Yeah.
Were you ever challenged at all within that? Was there ever a moment where things were challenged in terms of maybe celebrating your Irishness through Irish dancing? Was it obviously from a political point of view? No.
Excuse me, nothing was ever a challenge. And what amused me, and still amuses me, because the question still is asked, do you have to be Irish to learn dancing? And then some people, very tunnelled people, have said, do you have to be a Catholic? For the love of God. Hello. I don't think so.
So how did you develop a passion for Irish dancing then? How did that come about?
I just loved it because Mum sent me. Okay. It was sixpence. You won't even know what sixpence is. No. Sixpence is your equivalent of a shilling. Oh, no, 2.5p. That was it. Yeah. That's what it was for my dancing lesson. And I just loved it. And I just loved the music, and I loved the beat of it and everything else. And we made good pals, you know, lifelong friends.
Do you feel like you developed social capital through that in terms of, you mentioned your lifelong friends and families and that, a sense there's a camaraderie and a togetherness and a friendship that you've had for many years?
an absolute wealth of friendship in the real world. When we're all on stage, when we're at competitions, your best friend in life is not your best friend, because I'm out to beat every one of you and I don't care who you are. And that's it. So the friendship continues after the results have come out.
So talk to me about music then in Irish dancing. I've heard you previously say that music comes first and dancers dance to the music.
For
and
sure.
That importance of Irish trad music and celebrating that through Irish dancing.
Because it's absolutely essential. Irish dancing does not exist without music. Dancers, whatever subject or whatever sort of dancing you do, we are interpreters of music and rhythm. That's how we do it. So without music, we're not there. So Irish music is my passion. I love lots of music, but it is my passion, you know.
Is there any Irish music that stands out that is important to you?
All of it, all the trad stuff, you know. We've got some great music. Birmingham, over the years, has had a wealth of musicians going through it, you know. And Sundays we used to go down to the Big Bull years ago, and every musician would be there. They'd travel up from London and all over the place. So, yeah, beautiful.
Do you think that the Irish in Birmingham is a wealth of celebrating Irish culture? You mentioned GAA and Irish dancing and other aspects as well. Do you think that there's a strong hold here in Birmingham and that's maybe growing over time?
I'm never quite sure if my opinion I'm going to say now is because I've just got older and I don't be out and about so much. I think Irish music and Irish dancing has become so commercialised in the last 25 years, so commercialised, that a lot of the musicians are out gigging, they're here, there and everywhere, you know. And sometimes I wonder, over the last few years, that us Irish are getting a bit diluted here in Birmingham. I do concern myself with that. I mean, I'm second generation Irish at 71, so we're talking lots of generations. You know, you're third.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the kids I'm teaching are fourth and fifth generation Irish. Well, at that point, you don't think you're Irish, do you?
But do you think maybe because there's again, we think about Birmingham and the migration, different ethnic backgrounds, do you think maybe because there's a whiteness to Irishness, then it's kind of diluted in that sense?
I see what you mean. I've never given that a thought, because I can remember 30 years ago a black girl winning the World Championships from London. Her surname was Semple Morris. That was tremendous, you know, and another lad in Ireland has won it. And my dancing school is so multicultural that I actually don't notice it. I actually don't notice it.
Yeah.
No.
Do you think Birmingham's unique in that sense because of the different cultural differences in terms of maybe celebrating culture within the city, that, you know, the Irish is enabled to kind of exacerbate themselves through like Irish dancing and other forms of expression?
I think Birmingham's Irish over the years have been fantastic, you know. I mean, I do always say they built Birmingham, you know. So we've got good social centres here. We've got good people, good mentors that keeps this culture going. And not just dancing, but I mean, I will say we've got good Irish pubs, we've got good Irish restaurants, we've got good Irish crack, concerts, everything. So, yeah, our mentors work hard to keep it there.
So let me bring you back to when you first started your dancing school, and you mentioned the parish priest and that.
Yeah,
was there anyone else influential? You mentioned your dad as well.
Yeah.
My granddad. Was there anyone influential in terms of you keeping the ball rolling and helping you?
My mother was one of the best in the world, you know, but then I danced for Eileen Kelly, and she ended up being Eileen Scanlon.
Right.
We're all there, plenty of us. And but what kept me going in teaching was that parents would bring their children, and they'd know I was young. They would do anything to keep me going. So they'd come and they'd bring in, you know, when I first started, I didn't think about music. That's mad, isn't it? I thought I'll just lilt to them, you know. So they bought me a record player, the parents in the class, and that was a big deal for me, the record player. Yeah. And then we moved to tapes and different things like that. And then we'd be asked to do little displays, and parents were always there helping you, always.
Do you think those displays, in terms of maybe enabled you to kind of spread the word of what Scanlon School was?
Yes, it did. But you can be in conversations, and I've over the years been in plenty of conversations. Let's go back, say, 30 years, and they say, "Oh, you teach dancing? What do you teach?" You know, and I go, "Irish dancing," and they go, "Quit the conversation." Like it wasn't ballet or it wasn't anything, whatever else. So they wouldn't hold the conversation with you after that. Then we had the big river dance boom, and of course, everyone thought I was wonderful then because they'd seen river dance, you know. Yeah.
So in terms of maybe that transition going into kind of that river dance period, what do you think makes, say, a good Irish dancer then? So you mentioned the different stages of participating, and then it gets serious with river dance, and then there's competition, and you mentioned different displays. So there's a range of different levels, I think, personally.
Oh, there is. It got serious long before river dance, you know. You get children walking the hall, and they'll be coming and they'll be crying. You think, oh my God, you know, but you know, I must tell them that I am nice, really. You know, I suppose my voice scares them. And what I love, everyone to their own level. Of course, we have lots of competitions. We spend most of our time in competition, but there are different grades within competitions that you can dance for, like intermediate grades, and then you get your own personal little level on it, you know. And you do have to remind some of the kids that, you know, they're not ever going to be a world champion, but they're very few and far between. But be the best you can. And I sort of go, see that dancer over there? You know, well, just beat them first. Beat the competition in your own class, you know, and it's your milestones. You know, okay, you've got good, you've ended up in that line up there. Okay, so let's go to the Feis now, Feis being a festival competition. So we'll put you in that grade. So try and get in the top 3 there. And next time you go, win it. You know, after that, you know, it is, don't be coming back 2nd or 3rd every time. Now, you've got to win it now, work a bit harder. Don't sit back on your laurels for a couple of medals.
Tell me about the Feis then. So when did your first Feis ever come about?
The Scanlon Feis that we first run, it's over 40 years. I'm no good at dates, I'm absolutely shocking.
Okay.
But it's over 40 years, yeah.
Can you remember the first one?
Well, yeah, I can remember. We were going to Feis here, there and everywhere, and I just thought, I can do that. You know, I'm a bit like Catherine Tate there, it's a bit scary. I put myself in a few positions saying, I can do that. And so I hired, it was in Balsall Heath, Mount Pleasant at the time, and I picked all my judges, got my musicians, and away we went with it. And it hasn't stopped.
Because you've continued that every year since.
Every year we run it, every year, every March. Yeah.
Obviously, I remember a couple of years back, COVID impacted it significantly well, didn't it? COVID
was a big impact on. We lost a lot of dancers in COVID as well. You know, I struggled big time. I mean, I'm very lucky that I've got 8 pupils of mine, 8 or 9 pupils of mine, that have all qualified as teachers, and they've stayed within the umbrella of Scanlon School. So I'm really lucky on that one. So all the savvy ones that can use, is it the Zoom?
Yeah.
Yeah, they did a bit of practice on Zoom. I wouldn't do Zoom. I'm not polite enough to be recorded in a dancing class. So I wouldn't risk doing Zoom. But it did. There's 16, 17-year-old dancers who are highly competitive. You know, that stage, they didn't return because we didn't have a world championship for 3 years. So, you know, they've moved on by then. You
mentioned the staff that you work with. Do you find yourself over a period of time delegating more because of their knowledge and their information? And you mentioned the adaptability of Irish dancing. Yeah, do you find working with them more and kind of giving them responsibility?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, my bones are really old. You know, my teachers can get up and dance. You know, I mean, we've got some great teachers in the class, you know. I won't start naming them because I'll just mess it all up with them all. But between us all, we've all got a job, you know. I can turn around and say to Connor, you know, Connor will create steps and whatever else. And then they'll all want to do these steps. And I know, you aren't going to get these, you know. But try it. Then Trisha and I will take it down a level, take a little bit out and all that sort of thing. Then we polish it up and everyone's got the job, everyone.
Yeah. What do you think has made Scanlon School go for 50 years? What do you think that is?
Because I won't give up.
If you were to maybe think of the skills and that you have, what do you think the main ingredient is?
What has kept our school going for so long is the loyalty of our teachers that have kept teaching with us. And they're young enough and they go out and they have classes in various places, you know. And that's what kept us going. I mean, I couldn't possibly do that. I always say, I couldn't possibly do this on my own. You've got to have a good team around you. Absolutely. I can do the discipline. I'm really good at that now. But my bones won't let me move like I used to.
How important is your sister Trisha in terms of this process?
Wouldn't exist without her.
No.
Absolutely. Trisha's taken over a lot of the stuff that... I sound as though I'm getting lazy, I'm getting older. I'm not. I've done it all. I've done all the organising over the years and whatever else. Trisha does loads and loads of it now. Loads of it. So without her, we wouldn't be able to do it. And Connor's the same, and Christie. And we've got Leanne and Emma, Ashlyn, Nancy, my niece. Yeah. We couldn't do it without any of them.
With Trisha, do you kind of have a kind of sense of relationship that you kind of know what works best for each other?
We actually don't even have to talk to each other, and we're not always teaching at the same time. You know, say a Tuesday, we'll have little ones come in from 5 and Trisha is there with all those. I won't come into the class till 6, you know, and the little ones sort of go, oh, you know, and I think they're quite glad I'm not in till 6. Then the little bit of the hardcore comes in, you know, and we take it from there.
What's the most rewarding part of being an Irish dancing teacher then? Is there anything that stands out?
We were going to the World Championships for 10 years. Your dad was in this team, that's how long ago. And for 10 years we were going to the World Championships, and every time they gave a place. So if there was 3 award places, we got 4th. If there was 8, we got 9th. You know, it went on and it went on, and I thought, these lads aren't going to do this anymore. And there was 8 lads and 8 girls, and I thought, oh God, they're going to knock it on the head. And every year I go, just one more blast, lads, just one more blast. And then we got it, 2nd in the world. And from then, that's my most memorable. Yeah. And then from then, it sort of G's you up, because, you know, sometimes you sort of think, oh, I'm never gonna get there, you know. But, you know, if they can do it, so can I. But we kept going and we kept going, and suddenly we got these medals. Oh my God, how precious was that?
It's a great self-belief to have then, to keep that persistence.
Absolutely, absolutely. And once you know you've broken that barrier, what it is, that people sort of look out for you then. I think, oh, Scanlon School, oh yeah, let's have a look at them. Because you can be really, really good and get bypassed. Yeah. You know, because you can get tunnel visioned on who are the best schools. Yeah. You know, you have to break that barrier and get through it, and we did.
Does it get political in that sense then?
Yeah, I'd say so, yeah.
To be careful with your wording, right?
Yeah, I'd say so, sometimes.
Is that normal in just dancing in general, in terms of... Because from my sport, football, you see maybe players that play for Man United get called up for England. If they're playing for a lesser team, they wouldn't necessarily have that representation in terms of international level. Within your case, a smaller school in comparison to a bigger school, you know, there's a sense of, okay, they must be better because they're part of so-and-so.
I think a name, it can alter things. But at the end of the day, I'm a judge, I'm an adjudicator as well. At the end of the day, the problem you have is that, like in sport, well, say in football, you can see the goal go in GA, you can see the ball go over the bar, whatever else. It's a subjective thing with us, you know. I mean, if you disagree with somebody's result, say, well, that's what I thought. You can't argue with that. Yeah. That is absolutely, and you've got to go with it. You've got to conduct yourself, take it, and either walk away from it or go back for spite. So I go back for spite, you know, and that's what you do. And so it goes on and it goes on, and from that time we won those medals. Then that was in teamwork, and then our dancers were getting good. I thought, yeah, you know, let's push these solo dancers. And then we got a girl who won a world championship. That was tremendous. And then Connor won. And then Aaliyah won. And again and again and again. And Kieran won. So, yeah, it's good.
Like a snowball effect.
Oh,
there.
Fantastic, yeah. But once you've got some decency in the class, you know, a work hard ethic, the other kids will follow that.
Yeah.
You know, dancers set examples within the class, and that's why you have to have discipline. Because if you get some kids that think they're really good, you know, and they don't have to work as hard as the others, and they're over the corner there blackguarding, get out the hall, lads. I don't care how talented you are, conduct yourself, work hard, set the example.
Would you say they're like your non-negotiables then within your dance class?
Non-negotiable. You've got to keep working. You've got to keep working. I will bring Aaliyah up because she's a very unique dancer. Aaliyah attends every single dancing class, whether there's competition or not. You get some dancers will only come, you know, when a competition is due. No.
Are you aware of the iceberg effect? Have you ever heard of that analogy?
Not sure.
Where you see an iceberg, you only see the top in terms of what's below the water. But below the water, there's all the determination, the work hard,
what goes on in this class is unbelievable. You know, sometimes what I say could be quite unbelievable, but everyone to their own on it. Yeah. Do
you think that makes you unique though, Carole, in that sense? Is that you're to the point in terms of your maybe approach and people respect that?
Yeah. Some people sort of think, oh, how rude, whatever else. But, you know, I haven't got time for mollycoddling and all that sort of thing. You are what you are. This is what you've got to do. You haven't worked hard. If you haven't worked hard, don't come in front of me. You know. But, yeah, I think we've got a respect on it, you know. I never leave. They don't leave the class sort of not being my friend. Well, maybe they pretend they're my friend, I'm not quite sure. And I'm sure what they're muttering under their breath. But my kids are the best. They are great. And they work really, really hard, you know.
In terms of Irish dancing then, you mentioned adjudicating and travelling and world championships.
Yeah.
How have you experienced visiting other places and meeting new people? How has that been important to you?
Oh, it is massive, yeah. I've travelled, I've been to America nearly 90 times.
Wow.
I know, it's good, isn't it? Yeah. And Australia and Ireland and Europe as well, because Irish dancing is all over the world. And it is great to sit and adjudicate. However, when you first start doing it, you're if you're not nervous, I don't care how long you're judging, if you are not nervous sitting at the table, you're not doing your job right. You're really not. But the very first time I was adjudicating, I was petrified. And I sat there, and it was in Scotland. I was doing the All Scotland. I was petrified of it. And I sort of said up to the big J, I will never criticise an adjudicator again. I will never criticise one, because this is scary. You know, and you so have to concentrate, and you really have to think about it. And you know what, Christie? You could have 50 in a competition or even more, and it's not actually picking your winner. It's that little dancer, boy or girl, that is going to get 12th or 13th, you know, that was 30th before, and make sure that you slot all these coming up the ladder, that you give them their justifiable place. Not all about the winner. It's all those kids in that lineup. And they do a personal best. So maybe they were at a competition before and they didn't get into the top 50. So now maybe they got 35th. How cool is that, you know? Or another little one got in the top 20, or somebody made the top 10. That's where you've got to watch your judging as well.
Do you think that's sometimes forgotten because it's glamorised and we see the winner all the time?
Yeah, I do. I do think that it is nerve-wracking for judges as well, because you're on a panel of 8 or 9, and you're all there, and you all give, and your first could be way out of line with someone else. You know, that can happen all the time, and I think that we can put ourselves under too much pressure thinking about getting that top 3. Yeah, it's human nature. It is difficult.
So, on that then, what makes a world champion? What are the skills and ingredients needed?
You've got to have a natural talent, but you can, it's hard work, it's passion, it's hunger, and it's want. That's what it is, and it is learn to listen to your teachers, take the criticism, even if you don't, you sort of think, well, I thought I was all right. You got to take it, you know, go back, take another look in the mirror at yourself, video yourself, Go back and back and back and keep checking yourself, but don't stop working. And the day you think you're at your best and it can't get any better, that's the day you give up, but that shouldn't happen. There's always something that you can do. It's like the day, and there's nothing to do with dancing, the day you stop learning. No, there's never a day where you don't learn something. So it's going. Yeah.
Do you think an element of self-awareness and reflection is important then in that process?
Absolutely.
Of reflecting on what you've done and how to improve?
Absolutely, and have a look at yourself. And of course, now you've got videos and you've got all that sort of thing. Have a good look at yourself, you know. Yeah.
How do you prevent complacency then during that process? If, for example, you've got dancers that are winning and achieving in their own way, how do you prevent maybe complacency to enable them to keep pushing themselves?
Well, I think dancers of that calibre have got they stay within the dancing world, but they've got other outlets from it, so they can go into shows galore. You know, I've got 6 dancers gone off to Taiwan on Monday now. So they're all those, you've got that sort of way which keeps you going and whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Instead of, I mean, they'll be bored witless just coming into the class here, but then you try new steps out and whatever else, and they'll come in and help you teach, or they'll do a workshop for you. So there's different things besides just coming in and listening to me or the rest of the teachers. So they've got a good lot of outlets on it. And there's exhibitions, and of course with all this podcast stuff that you do and whatever else, there's loads of dancers on all that sort of thing. So there's a lot to be done out of it. Plus you can make a living out of it now.
In what way can you make a living then?
In the shows.
Okay.
In all the shows, Magic of the Dance, Lord of the Dance, River Dance, you know. They're getting a great life out of it, you know. I'm still in this hall, but they're travelling the world.
Has that changed in over time? So obviously you think about your time frame in terms of when you started. Has that changed in terms of maybe what the motivation and the passion is? Because maybe before it's a sense of community and everyone helping you out, and now there's opportunity to actually make a living and a career out of it.
Oh, of course it has. I mean, in my dancing day, there wasn't even a world championship, and I probably would never have done that great on it, you know. But it's changed completely, absolutely changed completely. However, I feel it is ultra competitive. And I feel that some very talented dancers give up too soon, you know, because they're not happy with not getting into that top 5. And I get that as well, you know, I do get it. But we do teamwork as well. So the teamwork, if you want to come off your high competitive solo dancing, we have teamwork, Kayleys and that sort of thing, which are very prestigious competitions to be part of. You've done it.
Yeah.
You have. Yeah. You've done Kaylee and your figure. Yeah.
You might have to cut that bit out though. in terms of on that then, so how do you improve yourself then? So if it's getting ultra competitive and you want to keep up there in terms of a score, what things do you do to ensure that you stay at that level to succeed?
You have to double check that any moves that are coming in, that you know exactly. I mean, no way are the kids dancing what I did. It's far, far more sophisticated, far more, a lot of ballet in it and everything else. So we keep up with the times. And the kids have to go out to competition to see what's being danced. You know, you can't just sit here for 6 months and just go off for the World Championships or something. You've got to go out and compete. But that's where the beauty of my wonderful teachers come in. They're so good, and they can still flex you their ankles, yeah.
Do you think you have a balance between traditional Irish dancing and new Irish dancing then? In terms
yeah, we've definitely got the balance on it, because when you walk into this class, you are taught traditional dancing. If you don't do the traditional roots, where it all started, and the proper moves, basic moves, you will not be a good Irish dancer. Yeah. You've got to have that.
We've looked at, obviously, at Irish dancing in terms of competing at that elite level, and you mentioned earlier that the Irish dancing can be used in terms of shows and events and functions. Yeah. Is there any experience that stands out in terms of those experiences in comparison to maybe a competitive nature?
We've done a lot of shows. On Monday we've just done City Birmingham Festival 23, which was excellent. One of the biggest gigs we ever did was a good while ago now, and we danced for the Queen.
Go on, tell me about that.
So, we were asked, it was the opening of the Symphony Hall. Yeah. So this Lieutenant Colonel Kimberley telephoned me, very nice voice, her name Miss Carole Scanlon. Yeah. I thought I was in trouble because he sounded so important. So he said, we'd like you to represent Ireland dancing for the Queen. I thought, oh my Lord. I mean, you can't imagine it, can you? So I said, okay. So then I had to get all the musicians together. I thought, I can't walk on with a tape recorder for the Queen, can I? You know, we have to put a bit of a band on for her. So we got 6 musicians, and then we had 72 dancers for her. Wow. So we had scaffolding. I mean, I don't think health and safety came into it in these days, but I had kids up on scaffolding up there and all over the place, you know, and shouting and bawling at them and this, that and the other. So we're doing our final practice for this. And the next thing, the musicians had just gone off. Shall I tell you this story? The musicians had just gone off for a break, and the show was going on that night. So the next thing, I'm 1, 2, 3, I'm 1, 2, 3, and the next thing, in walks this little lady and her husband, and whatever, it was the Queen, Prince Philip, King and Queen of Greece, whatever, and I'm there shouting my head off at these kids up on the scaffolding, and I turn around and I'm tra-la-la-la-la, I'm trying to get all posh with her, you know. But anyway, I thought, no, I'm going to keep carrying on here, I'm going to mess it up. So, and then the show was fantastic, you know, and it was a great honour for these kids, you know. Yeah. And when the Queen died last year, you know, we looked up our paper cuttings, you know, and it meant something to our, well, these kids, their children are dancing for me now and whatever else. But that was a pretty important gig, you know. Yeah. So, and we've done loads of things, yeah, lots.
Is that was Symphony Hall in Birmingham?
It was the opening of Symphony Hall in Birmingham.
In terms of maybe, obviously, from your perspective, you to represent Birmingham and to be asked to celebrate the culture of Ireland in Birmingham must mean something to you as well.
Oh, it's such a big deal. You know, we've danced. We danced at New Street Station during the Commonwealth Games, and we've also done a few VIP parties. And there was a Birmingham City fanatical, so we had to put an Irish dance to Mr. Blue Sky. How cool was that? And we did it.
How was that in terms of two-stepping to that?
It worked well. Timing is timing, whatever the tune. And we've danced at the Villa Ground. We've danced at a lot of places. Yeah. We do a lot for charity as well. And if they wish to donate to the kids, that's fine. But foremost, it's good for the kids to get out and show off what they can do. You know, money doesn't come into it on that scale. It doesn't. If they want to donate to the school, they can. You know, but a lot of the stuff we do.
What life experiences have you learnt then from Irish dancing? Is there anything that's made you a better person or made you think about the world differently?
The woman that works for nothing will be busy all her life. What I like about it is it keeps you motivated yourself and never give up. And the fact that I'm 71 and still motoring away, yeah, you can do it, you can do it. And even if your body tells you to slow down a bit and your feet don't move as fast, my head does. And I might be an old bird, but I can watch and see everything and I can pick it up straight like that, you know, and I go, got it, fix that, cross them feet there, put your arm in there, whatever else. I don't have to dance up to them to tell them that. Yeah.
What about maybe like in everyday life? Is there anything that you mentioned your friendships and the group of people that you hang around with? Are they close to you still and how that's inspired you?
The common denominator on everything I do is Irish dancing. I can't think past it, and that sounds very tunnel visioned, but it's not. Because I mean, I have my club here, and everyone that comes in it knows me because they either used to dance for me, or their dads dance for me, or the kids are dancing for me. Musicians, bands, through dancing, we know. It's a wealth. It is a way of life, really. You know, and although you don't talk dancing all the time, that was where the friendships were cemented.
How did the club come about then? How did that happen, and how did that inspire the school to continue here?
The club came about. because I was working in biochemistry for about 28 years, and I just got fed up one day.
So people don't know that. So what were you doing? So what were you doing before here?
I was in admin in biochemistry at St Oak Hospital for 28 years. I know, you know, it was sort of living to work instead of working to live, you know. And one day I just thought, oh, I've had enough here. So I just said, I'll be back in 10 minutes. And I got in my car and I never went back. And I thought, oh my God. I thought, what have I done? And I'd done nothing really, because I could have gone back the next day. Nobody knew I wasn't coming back till I didn't go back. And I just thought, no, I've done it. I'm not doing it anymore. And then I thought, I'll just teach dancing full time. But if you're relying on something you love, and you have to make your whole living out of it, you're going to lose the love of it. Right. It's going to be... So I needed a job of some sort. So a very good friend of mine, Noel McLean, had the Celtic Court Hotel, and he offered me a job there, and I did. And because connected with this, that and the other, between myself and Caroline, we brought in a good bit of business and whatever else. And from there, Caroline and I went to work at the Maggie's pub, and then this came up in a mad moment. Here I am. I thought, I can do that. Here we are again. I can do that. So, and this Scanlon's, and it was an old snooker club. Yeah. A bit rotten, really, but I turned the snooker room into a dance studio, and that was it.
What did your dad say to you during that process? I remember this story.
I said to Dad, Dad, I'm going to buy a club, and he said he couldn't. He just didn't get it, you know. I said, right, come up and have a look and see what I'm going to do. So I always ask my mum and dad. I brought him up here, and of course we're in Tysley, and there it is, Scanlon's, and he looked at it and he said, now Carole, he said, I've worked all my life, he said, to get us out of the area, and look where you've ended up. But it was sort of jesting, like, because, you know, yeah, look where you ended up after all the years. Funny.
And how many years have you been here then?
21.
21.
I only came in for a drink, really. I always say that. I only came in for a drink, and I'm here 21 years. Yeah, and I suppose I need to knock it on the head, but I don't quite know how to do it. You know, the dancing is still here, and the functions are here. The music is going. The staff are good. So, you know, and I can do it.
Yeah. Do you think that keeps your passion alight then, in terms of?
I would worry that if I knocked it on the head, I mean, we've got other venues, but I have to relocate the Heartbeat School, which is here, and that's fine, there's plenty of space in Birmingham, whatever else. But I'd worry what I'd do myself if I sat back in my real home. You know, I mean, I do moan and I give out and whatever else, you know, but that's part of me. But I might lose the impetus to keep motivated.
I suppose it's a sense of purpose for you to continue.
I have to get up every day. Yeah. You know, there's something to be done every day. Sometimes I don't want to get up, but otherwise it could be. You could easily drift into nothing. Yeah. Very easily. And I don't care how famous you are or how hard anyone has worked. If you pull yourself off the scene, you're very easily forgotten. Very easily forgotten. It doesn't matter who you are, and I do believe that.
Do you think the social capital that you've built through Irish dancing has enabled this to kind of continue, and your sense of community and people come in, and whether it's the music or the GAA or other things, that keeps kind of your heart, your passion? That
has kept this hub going. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because, you know, like we're not in the hub of the Irish scene. We're not in Deepeth or anything. No, we're just at the top of the road in Spring Road. You know, you wouldn't be killing yourself to come up here unless we were here. You know, so yeah.
Do you think, just on that, you mentioned the different pubs, Celtic Court, and I can imagine that there was a load of Irish pubs back in the day.
Stacks.
And maybe you see, for example, Vaughan's has gone and the Irish Centre's closed down, and there's a change and modification in terms of that. Do you think that's sad a little bit?
I think it is sad, because if you go along the track, we were raised in Camp Hill, and then we moved into Yardwood. But the Stratford Road was a very important road, you know, and you had all the pubs. all the pubs along there. Then you had the Mermaid pub, and they were all havens for the Irish coming over those years. I know people sort of say, oh, they spent their life in pubs. Well, they didn't. They lived in rooms. They didn't have the flat or anything like that. They rented a bed in a room. Do you know? So where else are you going to go? Yeah. You're going to sit in the pub, aren't you? Have a few drinks, and you've worked really, really hard. And that's where a lot of the work was decided, in the bars and the pubs in those days. It was the hub of the Irish community. And yeah, it has gone. But I mean, people are a bit more sophisticated as well, you know. So, you know, it doesn't all happen like that now. But it is sad seeing Stratford Road. It is sad seeing it, I think.
I think there's an element of, from your perspective, an acceptance that these things happen and these things change.
Of course it is, yeah. And this is why I sort of say, like the Irish are diluted. And I'm not sure if I'm describing it right, but I suppose I don't think yous and younger are having the same Irish crack as what we had. And we were all looked out for, you know. We'd go to an Irish pub or a gig would be on, and there'd be the older fellas there, your dad's friends and whatever. Oh my God, and they made sure you were okay. Do you know, and made sure, now you need a taxi home. That doesn't happen now. Yeah. These days it doesn't now. We were sort of, so we were scared to go out sometimes in case we got caught, because there was always someone to tell someone. We always got caught out.
Were you ever discriminated against?
I never knew it. I didn't see it. No. The only time was when we taught the dancing after the Birmingham bombings, and we had bricks put through the dancing school that time, and that's why I didn't want to teach. But Dad said I had to, so they put a policeman on the door for us.
Okay.
You know, so we did it. Yeah.
In terms of your upbringing then, and you mentioned your dad and my granddad.
Yeah.
Very involved in the Labour Party and kind of political views that way. Did that ever influence you at all in terms of maybe you being Irish and those factors happening in terms of a brick go for your window?
Absolutely, for sure. Dad was absolutely staunch Labour, and we've stayed a Labour family ever since. I definitely will not talk politics, far from it. I don't know half enough about it for it, you know. But our needs were different then. But I know during the Labour government, that got us housed. It got me educated, because I won a scholarship, which you wouldn't get these days. I won a scholarship to a really nice school and all that. And that came. But my dad worked really hard for the Labour Party. The committee rooms were there and everything. And he used to have me collecting money every month for the Labour Party, a shilling a month, and I'd be going out, hail, rain and snow. I was only about 12, and every Sunday I had to go, once a Sunday every month, I'd be collecting for the Labour Party.
In terms of you being a landlady and being a strong woman, does anyone ever talk to you about kind of your influence on them and in terms of what you've done for them as an individual, or whether that's through the dancing or whether that's through the club? Does anyone kind of reach out to you in that way? Yeah,
they have done, yeah, but I sound like blowing my trumpet if I start saying that. I've had lots of people, compliment me and whatever else. And a lot do come here to talk about things and issues and whatever else. Because I will give a straight, I can hold a big secret. I can hold my 10%. They can talk to me and nobody knows. Nobody's going to hear after they've told me, you know. The youth are pretty good. The dancers are good. I can spot if there's something wrong and I can pull them in. So we can just go and sort it out, you know. It's not a big deal by the time they're finished with it, you know. And then I just say, get over it now and move on. Come on, we're okay.
I suppose in terms of what I asked you earlier is there transferable skills? I'm sure those skills that you've got in terms of people skills here are transferred into the Irish dancing in terms of your relationship with others and getting the best out of them and having the sense of whether you need to kind of give them the cold shoulder or be a bit kinder.
You have to suddenly switch sometimes, because sometimes I can be quite cranky. You know, if I got a bit of a donkey in the bar, you know, well, you know, I'm not going to be nice and polite and come on, whatever else. I'm going to give out to him, you know. And then if I've got a donkey in the class, which I don't have very often, you have to tell them off in a different way. But I'm always grateful. I'm always grateful for my custom. I've got great customers going there. Yeah. I really have. And during lockdown, I was going to knock it all on the head. It was all gone and I couldn't keep up with it. I couldn't get grants or anything. And all the customers jumped in and helped me, you know. And in the dancing school, like, the kids, I love them. I do love every single one of them. They don't think I do, but I do.
What do you think the future of Irish dancing looks like then?
I think quite commercialised, you know,
in what
shows,
sense?
With the big shows and everything else. I do worry, I need to just make this point, I do worry, I think the future of Irish dancing is really, really strong and it's going to go ahead. I do worry that people that don't know much about Irish dancing will turn around, and I get this comment quite a lot, sort of say, it's too expensive, the costumes are far too dear, whatever else. No, you don't get one of those costumes unless you've earned it. You know, you don't walk into a class and have to pay a fortune for a costume. You're in your little black skirt and top. You don't even have to buy dancing shoes. As you progress and as you think, I can sort of say, right, yeah, she can have a pair of shoes now. Don't waste your money yet, just wait and see. So on that side of it, I worry that people think it's all about that, and it's not all about that. But I think it's strong enough to keep going.
So staying true to your values in terms of what you're trying to achieve and what you're trying to do.
Yeah, but there is a lot of fitness in it these days, you know, it is real big fitness as well.
So
but there's still good crack to be had in it, you know. It's not all about competition, you know. You see those off to Taiwan now, they're going to have great crack, and then they come back and they're doing another show here. There's another show from Australia. They're in that show and then another one, you know. There's good bits to it. Yeah. There's good bits to it.
So my final kind of questions, what I tend to do with my guests is I get them to either look back or look forward towards the end question. But with you, I think we've kind of looked at your past. I want to maybe get you to look forward. So if you were to maybe stop Irish dancing and kind of see your time out, what would you think your legacy would be?
What I've given to everyone else.
Yeah. Why would you want to be kind of remembered in that respect?
For my dancing, and for being straightforward, no mollycoddling, straight up front, but approachable. If you were in trouble, I could help you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where can people find your club and dancing school?
Right, the club is in Spring Road in Tyseley, Birmingham, and the main dancing school is here, and we do that 2 or 3 times a week. But we also go to Bishop Ilsley School, and we're in Maypole, and we're in Dickens Heath, and we're in Solihull.
Yeah.
We're a bit spread out a bit. So.
Well, what we'll do is we'll put the links to your school social media as well as the address and everything in the description. Yeah. So if anyone's listening or watching this, they can click and kind of check that out.
Absolutely, yeah.
Where can people find you? Are you on social media?
Oh, I'm sort of. I've got a Facebook page, but it's not that polite sometimes. Yeah, you can find Scanlon's Club on is it Facebook?
Yeah.
I don't understand it all, but I'm normally here in the kitchen or in the dance studio. You'll find me there or sweeping the car park.
Carole, I just want to say thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you, what an honour.
Yeah, thank you for doing this.
Yeah, I'm so proud of you.
I've been wanting to do this for so long, and to finally do this is a great achievement.
It's brilliant.
Your story is very influential. I'm sure we could continue talking about this forever, but I just want to thank you for your time, and
brilliant.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Good luck with your school.
Thank you, Christie. I'm really proud of you. Good boy.